In the Spanish city of Andalusia, there lived a boy named Santiago who had a strong desire to explore and visit different places. To fulfill his dreams, he requested his father to buy him a herd of goats, which his father did. Santiago spent his days grazing the goats and traveling from one town to another with his herd, enjoying the beauty of the countryside and the simplicity of a shepherd's life. A few days ago, Santiago had a chance encounter with a beautiful girl named Fatima in the village of Tarifa. He felt an instant connection with her and was eager to see her again. So, he set off on a journey towards Tarifa with his herd of goats. However, night fell, and he decided to rest for the night. He stumbled upon an abandoned church and led his herd inside for shelter. Later, he stepped out and slept under a sycamore tree. During his slumber, Santiago had a vivid dream where he saw a treasure hidden beneath the Egyptian pyramids. The dream was so real that he felt an urge to pursue it. The treasure seemed to call out to him, inviting him to come and claim it. This dream left Santiago feeling restless and anxious, and he couldn't shake off the feeling that there was something important waiting for him in Egypt. The next morning, Santiago woke up determined to find out the meaning of his dream. He went to an old woman who was known to be a skilled dream interpreter and asked her for her help. However, the old woman agreed to interpret his dream only on the condition that if he found the treasure, he would have to give her 1/10 of it. Although hesitant at first, Santiago agreed to her terms, as he was eager to find out the meaning of his dream. But as the old woman began to interpret his dream, Santiago realized that he had had similar dreams before. Doubts crept into his mind, and he began to question the old woman's credibility. Santiago suspected that the old woman was a fraud and that her interpretation of his dream was not to be trusted. So, he decided to leave and look for answers elsewhere. After leaving the old woman, Santiago went to the market to attend to his needs. There, he encountered an old man who tried to strike up a conversation with him. However, Santiago was not interested in talking to him, suspecting that the old man might be a fraud just like the old woman he had met earlier. But then, the old man surprised him by revealing that he could help Santiago in finding the treasure he had dreamed of. Santiago remained skeptical and suspicious until the old man wrote his parents' names on the ground. This piqued Santiago's interest, and he listened as the old man explained that he had supernatural abilities that allowed him to see into people's souls and read their destinies. The old man offered to help Santiago find the treasure, but like the old woman, he demanded 1/10 of Santiago's goats as payment. After some contemplation, Santiago decided to take the old man's offer and presented him with 1/10 of his goats. He sold the rest of his goats to finance his journey towards Egypt. The old man revealed some mysteries and guided Santiago towards the treasure, teaching him to trust his instincts and to listen to the language of the universe. After selling his goats and preparing for his journey to Egypt, Santiago boarded a ship heading towards Africa. He arrived in the city of Tangier and stayed there for a few days, trying to figure out the next step of his journey. However, Santiago was robbed by a group of thieves, leaving him with no money or possessions. Feeling disillusioned and defeated, Santiago began to regret leaving his simple life as a shepherd. He thought to himself that it would have been better if he had stayed home and continued to graze his goats, never having to face the dangers and hardship of the outside world. After being robbed of his belongings by 5 thieves, Santiago arrived at a crystal merchant's shop seeking a way to earn a living. He offered to clean and restore the old crystals in exchange for 2 meals a day. The merchant agreed, impressed with Santiago's skill, and soon, customers began to flock to the store to admire the brilliantly shining crystals that Santiago had restored. With time, Santiago grew restless and yearned to fulfill his lifelong dream of discovering a hidden treasure. he sought permission from the crystal merchant to leave and set out on his own to find the treasure. The merchant reluctantly agreed, and Santiago joined a caravan traveling through the Sahara Desert towards Egypt. It was during this journey that Santiago met an Englishman who was searching for an alchemist capable of transmuting metals into gold. Intrigued by the Englishman's quest, Santiago began to contemplate the possibility of finding his own treasure and fulfilling his destiny. Santiago and the Englishman eventually arrived at a small village near the home of the alchemist they sought. However, before they could proceed, a conflict broke out in the village, leaving them stranded. Determined to continue their search, Santiago and the Englishman asked a woman drawing water from a nearby well for directions to the alchemist's house. It was during this encounter that Santiago first laid eyes on a beautiful girl named Fatima, who was among the women at the well. The attraction was mutual, and the two struck up a conversation, sharing stories about their lives and dreams. Despite their budding romance, Santiago remained committed to his quest for treasure and set off to find the alchemist, hoping to one day return to Fatima and win her heart. After staying for several days in the village, Santiago and the Englishman finally met the alchemist they had been searching for. The alchemist asked them if they had ever attempted to transmute metals into gold, and the Englishman replied in the negative. However, Santiago was intrigued and requested the alchemist to teach him the art of alchemy. During his time with the alchemist, Santiago gained knowledge about natural signs and the language of the universe, and he realized that his personal legend was the reason behind his journey. With the alchemist's guidance, Santiago learned how to recognize and interpret these signs, unlocking his potential to fulfill his destiny. One morning, Santiago woke up with the 2 stones given to him by the old man and witnessed 2 eagles fighting in the sky. He hurried to the village leader and warned him of an imminent raid. The leader mobilized his army and told Santiago that if the attack didn't happen, he would be killed. However, another army did attack the village, but thanks to Santiago's warning, they were well prepared and managed to fend off the invaders. Impressed by Santiago's foresight and bravery, the village leader rewarded him with gold coins and appointed him as a council member. Santiago contemplated staying in the village as he now had wealth and influence, and Fatima, whom he had fallen for, also lived there. However, when he confided in Fatima about his dream of finding treasure, she encouraged him to pursue it. As a desert girl, she understood the value of patience and waiting. Santiago sought out the alchemist once again, and they embarked on a journey together to find the treasure. The alchemist believed that Santiago had the ability to find it and guided him along the way. After traveling for a short while, a tribe captured Santiago and an Englishman and confiscated a gold coin from Santiago. The tribe accused them of being spies, but both denied the accusation. The Englishman quickly devised a plan to save their lives by claiming that Santiago was a powerful magician who could transform himself into air. The tribe's leader found the claim amusing and agreed to spare their lives if Santiago could perform the feat within 3 days. Santiago was initially outraged by the lie, but the Englishman explained that it was their only chance at survival. He encouraged Santiago to focus on connecting with nature and attempting the seemingly impossible task. On the 3rd day, Santiago managed to summon a massive storm while standing on a mound of sand, impressing the tribe and securing their release. After a long journey on foot, Santiago and the alchemist arrived at the cottage of a monk. Inside the cottage, the alchemist demonstrated his incredible power by transforming a single piece of copper metal into 4 pieces of pure gold. The alchemist gave 1 piece of gold to Santiago, kept 1 for himself, and gave the 3rd to the monk as a gift. He instructed the monk to hold on to the 4th piece and only give it to Santiago when he returned, as a test of his ability to fulfill his personal legend. After spending some time with the monk and the alchemist, Santiago and the alchemist parted ways, and Santiago continued his journey towards the pyramids in Egypt. Along the way, he encountered many challenges and obstacles, but he remained determined to fulfill his personal legend and find the hidden treasure. With the lessons he had learned from the alchemist, Santiago relied on his intuition and followed the signs and omens that guided him towards his destiny. Upon reaching the pyramids, Santiago began to dig underneath them, but was soon confronted by robbers who snatched away his piece of gold and beat him mercilessly. Suspecting that he might have been searching for more gold, Santiago then shared with them the story of his dream. However, the leader of the robbers only laughed at him and recounted his own dream of a treasure located under a sycamore tree near an abandoned church, thinking that Santiago was mentally unstable. The leader eventually let him go. But Santiago realized that the true treasure he was seeking was hidden in Spain under the sycamore tree from his dream. So he returned back to Spain. Santiago dug underneath the sycamore tree near a church, where he had dreamt of the treasure, and successfully found it.